2015 is a very important year for the Year of the Rural Worker. We wanted to show everyone what happens at these glens, how everything's done for free of charge almost. 7 days a week we're up there. It's so important because of the schools, the hotels, the B&B, all down the length and breadth of these glens. You've got people working there 7 days a week, and without them we feel the glens would collapse.
My name's IAIN HEPBURN and I'm the head keeper at DUNMAGLASS estate. And on the HEPBURN side is all in gamekeeping. Brother and I are the 5th generation, son's the 6th generation, so it's been in our blood more or less forever, for all we've known anyway. All the estates need maintained, so in doing so every business locally gets used, whether it be plumbers, electricians, roofers, people building the walls. We're going past some butts here. They were built by a local stonemason and 2 young lads. We need people to look after the roofs, just everything, painters, decorators, people to cut the grass. There is so many trades get used on each of these estates. It's frightening. And then you go into the shops, everybody just thinks, oh, it'll be fishing tackle or gun shops, but it's not. There's butchers, fish merchants. Even the people, you know, the airport, Inverness Airport, everybody flies in there that come to visit all these estates in the Highlands, so they're getting trade from it. And from the second their feet hit the runway, these people are spending money. It's all been tried and tested, and the sporting estates are what they are because in the olden days, when it was far more difficult for people to try different things, they tried everything there was at this level, and the sort of soil types, etc., and sporting was the only productive business there was to be had there. So personally I don't see anything else other than covering the whole of the country with trees. I don't see anything else happening because it's what the land can cope with. The estate has all been very, very keen in employing young people, which we always have done. We ran with North Highland College for years and years, having students on 1, 2, 3 year terms to give young people the chance, and then our side has always been good that they go off elsewhere and learn more. The more learning they do when they're young, like everybody, the better for them. I personally don't know what they would go and do, but the houses and their offspring, their young people and young families, it helps keep the school going and keeping all the community going at that level as well.
Through my dad working on neighbouring farms throughout the glen, through helping him out, I had a keen interest in horses, and came across the sort of GHILLIEs on one of the estates going out to pick up stags one day when we were out gathering sheep, and I just questioned them how I would get into it, and through that managed to get myself a bit of work experience, and never looked back, loved it. And then through the college, applied to the college and got a placement here in DUNMAGLASS as a trainee, and just went from there. There's been a high percentage of my course, certainly. Most of the boys I know have gone on to full-time jobs. There's a good success rate for folk leaving the college and going into full-time employment. Without the sporting estates, young people, if they wanted to stay in the glen, they wouldn't have any other real choice.
A lot of stuff being talked about at the moment, different legislation, and I really fear for it. I feel our countryside's benefiting from it massively, getting well looked after, well managed, and to take that away, it would, in my view, the countryside may go back to being nothing but a scrubland. In my view, the politicians have got to come out. We can go to Holyrood, we can go to Edinburgh, we can go wherever in the city, but it doesn't help. They have to come out and see what happens in the communities.
I am the head housekeeper in the lodge, and I also do the wages for the beaters and all their forms, tax forms and that sent to the office. I help IAIN when I can. I mean, the keepers do a good job, but then the wives also do a good job, the partners that are in the lodges or anywhere on the estate really. It was very difficult to come into this environment because I lived in the village life, people around me all the time, and then came up here and all I saw was sheep and pheasants, and it was very hard to start with, but now it's just the best life.
Dealing with estates certainly through the summer months when the mill would be quieter anyway, is very important and maintains the employment for a lot of the members of staff through that period when there could be certainly reduced hours.
We see a direct correlation with, for example, this year the grouse numbers in the Scottish borders where we have a retail shop. The grouse numbers were down, so the grouse shooting was curtailed, and we saw a drop in the shop takings.
My name's Jamie GALBRAITH. I'm an agricultural contractor based in HEPBURN. On an average week it'll be dark to dark, probably many hours before dark to dark. It can be 10 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll never be a millionaire doing this, you know. I'd love to say I would be, but you know, I'm still working on the first million. But no, it's a lifestyle. I've never known anything else. I grew up on a farm, you know. I know how to do other things. I've done other things, but I've always come back to this. So this is now how I make a living. Folk in the country, of course they keep the heartbeat in the country. You know, that's what makes the country. You know, without them, there's nothing. You're going to have open land with nobody there. You know? I mean, it's the people that make the countryside. You know, the countryside's shaped by the people. You know, folk come and see the countryside and, you know, they say how beautiful it is. You know, it's lovely countryside. Well, all that's been created, you know, it's maintained by people. There's a lot of decisions made that do affect them that, you know, folk working in the countryside have no say over, which I think is wrong. I think they could do a bit more consultation with rural workers regarding policies, you know, especially when livelihoods are at stake.
The farming generation's getting older and older and older, and there's not the young people coming in, and you can't blame them. You know, in this area alone, anybody else my age, I don't think there will be anybody else my age doing what I'm doing. You know, it's getting older and older. Jamie there, but he's slightly older than me. But it's just there's not the young people there, and you can't blame them. You know, they can go out and get jobs, computers and things like that, making 2 and 3 times the money I'm making.
My name is Con O'Day, and I've been the head gillie at TAYMOUNT for 5 years. On paper it's a 9 to 5 job, but the hours, there are parts of my contract that stipulate my hours can be from dawn to dusk at any given point of the fishing season. I grew up in Dundee in a wee scheme called Fintry, which is quite a famous wee scheme in itself, which is just a hop, skip and a jump from the country. I came to the river with my father at the age of 4 and fell in love with it then. It was this very bit of water here that I came to as a child. I've lived at TAYMOUNT for 5 years. My house comes with my job. I was required to move here. I would be devastated, my family would be devastated if anything was to happen to my job, because we'd not only be out of job, we'd be out of home. I've got my kennels with my 6 spaniels in it, take up a lot of time. Gail's daughter Hannah lives with us at home. She's 15, going through her exams at school. Great wee lassie. We're very happy living in the country. I couldn't see us living in the city if I lost my job. Living in the country comes with quite a few obstacles, we'll say. Transport's one of them. If we didn't drive, there's only one bus route. We'd almost certainly have to walk a couple of miles to fetching your groceries. It could be a bit trialling as well, although I do understand that the retailers now deliver. Communications can sometimes be difficult in the country, to say the least. Broadband could be an absolute pain at times. Just having lots of things at your disposal, like the hospital, post office, your grocery store, your neighbours. All these things can be challenges if you've got the trials of life on your doorstep at any given moment. When people come here, it's our first primary responsibility now is to educate them on the importance of the value of the fish that are still remaining in our river. So it's something that we continually do throughout the course of the season. Conservation now in this current climate, 2015, has never been higher. If I go back to when I was a child, predominantly most salmon would have been killed on the river now. Predominantly now, most salmon are returned. Fish that are kept are only kept because they have to be. It's a huge part of our job now, not only for ourselves, but to educate everyone else who comes to share this marvellous place with us. The equal to the hours we do in the city, you would almost certainly be paid far more handsomely. This is the kind of job you might never ever be wealthy with financially, but you will leave it with a wealth of other things. Change for the sake of it can sometimes be, in small measures, a good thing, but also in larger measures, absolutely a devastating thing. Land reform, I know for some people it could be absolutely devastating, and make no bones about it, it would be. Most of these jobs and these positions come with not only tied accommodation, but also secondary jobs for wives, their children and stuff like that. My first thing I would want to be would be a gamekeeper, but it would also be affected.
We hope that you're a rural worker will show people what rural workers face, what challenges they have, and would like, when people make decisions regarding us in the countryside, to take us into account. They're important for biodiversity, they're important for policing the glen, they're important for fire brigade stuff, they're for mountain rescue, local community council. A massive amount of things is done free of charge, and we feel we must send this message out